to have the bollocks.
Do you really want to go toe-to-toe with me on that?
You've completely, like, what are we doing here? Levy isn't going anywhere.
It's all down to timing, isn't it?
Yes, guys, good evening. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Five. You see, it's four of us at the moment. We do, of course, bring in a guest on a Thursday, and we will be bringing him in just a minute. It is Thursday, the 27th of November, the day after the night before the Champions League game against, of course, the best team in Europe, or European champions, maybe not the best team in Europe anymore. And we've got someone else to worry about down the road about that one. But either way, we've got to talk all about that. We've got 3 games coming up in 9 days. Fulham, Newcastle and Brentford. Lots to digest, lots to analyse, lots to discuss from last night's performance. Much better, but not good enough. We've got 4 different takes, probably 5 different takes, in fact, on how that looks and whether we should be more optimistic or remain pessimistic. How does Thomas Frank, does he get a little bit of a reprieve? Is it better? Is it temporary? And what about players like Kolo Muani and Archie Gray? We got some personal takes on those things as well, guys. Before we, he's disappeared already. Can we get some? Can we get some admin done before we get into it? Smash the like button for the video if you enjoy the video. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop the comments. Keep them coming thick and fast. Let us know your thoughts on what we're talking about. Please do be respectful. We are also on the major podcast platforms, Apple, Amazon, and Spotify. So if you want to watch us or listen to it back over there, then please do search for Spurs 5 or go into the description and find the links. Give us a rating and a follow. I'm going to come around quickly to you boys. We've got to do the guest selector. We're bringing him or her in a second. Johnny, how you doing, mate? Good to see you.
I'm good. Listen, a lot more positive after last night. Nothing's perfect. No one can ever be. Oh, look, there he is. He's shaking his head already. If you let me finish, Del, I was about to say no one could be overly happy.
I never said a word. You got triggered. I never said a word.
All this.
You just get triggered easily.
Wait, Johnny, how are you? Johnny, how are you?
I am fine.
Nobody move, everyone.
Good to see you, Johnny. Good to see you. Lubo, welcome back to the show, mate. How are you, buddy? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. All good. All good. Had actually a really good trip to Paris. So, yeah, had a good day. Showing back the final result, but, came away. Massive improvement on Sunday, wasn't it? Although there wasn't much to beat when you're trying to raise the bar there. But no, it's a good trip. All good. Looking forward to the show.
Yeah, I can already tell it's going to be a lively one. Stelios, how you doing, mate? Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm good. That's what I'm going to say because I don't want to upset anyone.
All right, guys, you know by now the rules on a Thursday night. The Spurs 4 become the Spurs 5. And with that, we have to find out who it might be. Here he is. Welcome to the channel, making his debut on the Spurs 5. It's last word on Spurs. Absolutely fabulous host, Ricky Sachs. Tonight, though, he's not playing the role of the host. He's playing the role of one of the guests. So it's going to be a flip-flop. It's going to be an interesting situation to get his strong takes. Ricky, welcome, mate. How are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Well, guys, lovely to be here. I'm so sorry everybody out there. They waited the big surprise on me. I'm so sorry for everybody out there. My apologies. But lovely to be here, guys. Thanks for having me. And I'm sure it's going to be a lively show. And it's weird being on the other end of the mic. So I'm looking forward to voicing a few opinions. So thanks for having me, guys.
Pleasure. Great to have you, mate. Great to have you. Do you know what, Ricky? I think you should go up here. I think you should come up here. Top shelf Ricky tonight. Top shelf Ricky. Lubo, you're up there for the time being. Of the rest of you three, depending on who gives an absolute whopper of an answer first, I'll be escalating and demoting you depending on the quality of your answer. If that's okay. Guys, I'm going to start, obviously, with no place to start other than the game last night. Before we get into the actual football, the tactics. Nobody knew what we were going to be playing when that team sheet came out. The team list of players on there that we weren't expecting, I'd imagine. There was arguments in Twitter and across the various forums of, are we doing a back 5? Are we shoehorning Archie Gray to the right side of a centre back? Is he going to play left back? Is it a 4? If it is a 4, is it a 4-1-2-1-2? Is it a 4-2-2-2? What's going on? Nobody knew. Ricky, I'll start with you, mate. Were you, when you first saw the lineup an hour before the game kicked off, what was your immediate reaction?
No Kudus, no Xavi Simons. Where's our attacking patterns going to come from? I know, again, we've gone with 2 up front, which is a nice surprise. And I've said this to you guys off air as well, that it's the one thing with Thomas Frank at the moment is that it's impossible to guess a Thomas Frank lineup, right? We've had very much inconsistency really throughout his whole time when it comes to the lineups. And I think the feeling for a lot of Spurs fans, not all Spurs fans, because I wouldn't speak for everyone, I wouldn't want to do that, but there is a feeling out there, I think, that certainly he's not found his best team. There's no doubt about that. But we are, I think, trying to search that consistency and also trying something different. So it was quite nice to see him go with 2 strikers in Mawani and Richarlison. I think they complemented each other on the night. Definitely, I think you saw that the way they combined, they linked up, they both scored goals. But there's definitely more questions to be asked about Xavi Simons, for example, a player that probably coming into joining a club like Tottenham for a big sizable transfer, didn't start against Arsenal, didn't start against Chelsea, and now didn't start away against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. So you'd imagine a player of that ilk would be joining the club with a view to starting some of those big games. So, look, again, interesting lineup from Frank. Can't guess it at the moment. I think, like you boys have said so often on here, searching for his best team, hasn't quite found it yet. But my only concern is that, are we going to get a rhythm when we continue to keep changing the lineup week upon week? I know he wants to compete in all 4 competitions. We're already out of 1. But I do think there's going to need to be, at some point, some consistency in selection in order to see the best of Tottenham under Frank.
Yeah, 100%. Certainly a surprise. And yeah, I think a lot of people had the initial concerns. Johnny, with the team that we actually put out, and then when we saw it was a 4-2-2-2 or 4-1-2, whatever, however you want to think of it, did you... were you concerned, or did you understand at least the point he was trying to make? I take Ricky's point about the lacking Xavi and stuff, but with the quality of that PSG midfield, he had sort of 2 options about how to play around it. I'd go to a back 3 and try to just sort of sit in tight and defend, similar to what he did against them in August, or he just overloads the midfield with 4 central midfielders, similar to what he tried to do against Chelsea, but then Bergvall obviously got concussed. Did you understand, at least, if not approve, of the methodology?
Well, I did actually, because if you remember, I came on your show just before the kickoff, and I said that for me it was about putting legs in there to press, close it down, because there's a lot of pace and a lot of quality in that PSG midfield. And I thought if we had just Bentancur and Paulinho in the midfield, we might struggle, overload the midfield. I really wasn't sure. You know, we spoke about Archie Gray pushing into the middle. I remember just before I came on, the interviewer, she turned around to Frank and said, "How many are you playing at the back? Is it 6?" And he looked at her equivocatively. "Is it 6?" "Oh, well, I'm not answering that." "Well, come on, you've got to answer me." He said, "No, I don't. No, I don't need to answer you. You'll see." And she kept going on. "Well, is it a 5? Is it a 6?" You know, he didn't answer, but I think you and I both worked out that the likelihood is that it was fluid. There was many options there, that it could go to a 4, it could go to a 5, it could go to a 3 at the back. There was flexibility in that. But I thought it was about the legs. First and foremost, I thought it was about the legs and pressing. Now, it's quite interesting because a lot of people were already in meltdown before a ball had been kicked, because Kudus and Xavi Simons weren't playing. What's this manager doing? It's a farce. It's ridiculous. He's completely lost the plot. He doesn't know what he's doing. At half time, those voices had quietened down quite considerably, having seen that he did in fact have legs and did in fact press as a unit. Yeah. Not as good as in the second half. So let's not go into the specifics of the game just yet. So for me, I wasn't surprised because we discussed it, and I said the young legs of Archie Gray, Bergvall, Papa Sarr, for me was the reason, and I think it was the right decision.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Stel, come to you, mate. Same sort of question, mate. Just pre-game thoughts. plenty of options. We've got most of our players back now. So difficult game. He picks a random team. As Ricky said, none of us know what he's going to do. And even when he picks the team, we still don't know how he's going to utilize it. That's a good thing. For me, it's unpredictability. I think that's something that keeps other teams guessing. I like it. Did you like it?
No, I didn't like losing 5-3. For me, the way
Pre-game. What was your first thought pre-game before you knew the result?
I thought we were gonna lose and we lost. I said before the game we're gonna lose and we lost. For me, losing to PSG is no embarrassment. They're one of the best teams in world football. They're a fantastic footballing team. Losing to them is no embarrassment whatsoever. But being 2-0 up with 5 minutes to go in a Super Cup and choking, that's unacceptable. To be 1-0 up with 30 seconds to go in the first half and to concede, just like we did against Man United, with 30 seconds away from a really good situation and we concede, it's unacceptable. To go 2-1 up and then 10 minutes later to be 4-2 down is unacceptable.
You're jumping ahead. We're just talking about the pre-game.
Okay, I said we'd lose and we lost.
Okay, but in terms of, would you have said that we would have lost if you'd seen a different selection? Was there any selection that was going to be put out? Because I think most people said we were going to lose.
I think we would have lost this game regardless, guys. We were always going to lose to PSG, just like we were always going to lose to Arsenal. But there's a way of losing.
Then you had no specific thoughts. So you had no specific thoughts before the first ball was kicked on whether the team that he put out was correct or as good as it could be.
No, I thought the team that he... I've said... Sean said to you, the team that he put out, I said was going to lose, and it lost. I don't think it matters who he actually put out. I think.
Were you happy with that selection? Is the point? Were you happy with that selection, or did you think it should have been a different?
I wasn't happy with the selection. No, because when you spend a hell of a lot of money on your players, okay, under Thomas Frank, we signed. Whether you think it's Frank signing or not, he came in whilst Frank was here. We signed Paulinho, Simmons. We signed Mwani and we signed Kudus. He starts only one of his signings in arguably one of the hardest games of football we're going to play this season. I cannot make sense of that. It just makes no sense to me.
Okay, so then also on that basis, then there was a more preference, even though I hear you that we all thought we were probably going to have a tough night at the office, but within the 25 players of which he could have picked 11 to start with, there was a different 11 that you would have rather have seen.
Well, I think whoever the manager is, Sean, if you spend your entire transfer budget on 5 players and you only start one of them, what are we doing? Against the hardest team we might play this season, surely those players he signed are to make us better and to improve the starting 11. But he didn't choose to pick any of them.
I think there's an argument, though, that if you bought in 3 attackers and you're not expecting much of the ball because you're against PSG, then there's an argument to think that there's other players in this, like a horses for courses environment, if that makes sense.
Everyone's complaining the starting 11 isn't good enough. He signed 5 players to improve it. He starts 1 against the hardest team we're going to play this season. I can't make any logic of that. Sorry. You've asked my opinion. That's my opinion.
That's fair enough. I'm just trying to understand it. Lubo, come to you, mate. Same question. Was there a different 11 that you would have rather seen? Or were you curious? Were you excited? Were you thinking this is interesting, surprising? What was your thought?
I was fine, and just to sort of answer your question, still 3 points here. Number 1,
I didn't ask a question, Lubo. I gave an opinion on what I thought of the game.
Okay. So
try to tackle me.
There's some energy on this panel tonight. Gee whiz.
I've got. I didn't ask a question. I just said.
All right, a rhetorical question. Let's just go through it. How did I feel pre-match? I was on your show, Sean. I was quite happy about it. I've been banging on for a while that Gray should be given an opportunity. I think the midfield has not been performing this season or last season for that matter. And he got a chance and boy, he took it, didn't he? But just answering, how did I feel? Number 1, PSG, when you first got the fixtures for the Champions League, you look at the 8 games, you look at what points you think you need, A, to make top 8 or B, to make the playoffs. PSG, I don't think anybody would think we were going to get anything out of. And at the end of the day, we did finish 17th last season and PSG won the whole thing. So let's sort of going from there. So that was a free hit. Secondly, after the horrendous shambles of Chelsea and Arsenal performances, some of these fringe players deserved a chance. And thirdly, Frank's under pressure, and Saturday's game is crucial. And I think his selection for Saturday had partly influenced his selection for last night.
Yeah, cool. Good point.
So for me, when you weigh all of that up, you look at the bigger picture, not just last night, 3 points. We lost last night. It's not terminal. For me personally, Spurs go and win the last 3 games. I think we make top 8. If we don't, I think we'll make the playoffs. And if we win 2 of them or get 5 points, then I think we're in the top 16, which means the second leg, which means we'll be seeded, and the second leg will be at home. Whereas Saturday is absolutely crucial.
Yep.
So I honestly think that had a lot to do with the way that Frank was thinking and his team selection.
Do you know what, Lubo? It's not often on this panel, when we have 5 different opinions, we get to the final opinion, and there's a lot left to be said that hasn't already been said. But I think you just brought up a really valid point there with that one. So congratulations, Lubo. I think the influence of Saturday absolutely had some value. Ricky, I'll come back to you, mate. Now we can actually start talking about the game, right? We've got the pre-game done. The game starts up, first 15 minutes. Tottenham's open up nicely, like they're not afraid. And then for the first half of football, I mean, I won't put the words in your mouth, but the first half, I think I've seen universally everyone was pretty happy. What was your overall take with the way we played and how it all kind of shaped out?
Yeah, I thought for a good 40, 50 minutes, we want a Thomas Frank Tottenham to be, right? There was intent. I think the thing is, when we come off the back of the nature of those performances against Arsenal and Chelsea, we were pretty much rock bottom, right? Not just in terms of the XG, but the manner in how we approach both the games. So you just want to see a Spurs side go out there at the very bare minimum, fight, show some determination, show some grit. And I think we saw that. And this is the thing that I'm a little bit torn at the moment now, 24 hours on. I don't want to sit here and just think that was a one-off because it was PSG. That needs to now be the base for how we move forward, because you guys have all made the point that the game against Fulham is absolutely massive for Thomas Frank. He needs a home win. I think the PSG game was a must-perform game. And I think, as we've all said and Stel has said, of course we would love to win it, but we weren't going to be measured on if we were going to win the game or not. It was about the performance. We'll come on to Fulham later, but that's a must-win game, I think, for him, definitely. But overall, definitely saw glimpses that I was happy with. Also can't get away from the fact, if we're going to be honest about it, was it 3 wins in the last 14? Not great. We've conceded 9 goals in the last 2 games. So look, at the moment, I can totally understand why some fans 100% need convincing. And if I'm going to be honest with you about it, it's so hard at the moment to find that kind of level of measure in the fan base from, again, the point of finishing 17th to winning a trophy and trying to find that right balance. I think is a real struggle with the fans at the moment. I think we're all struggling right now to understand where this team should be. And I think the one consistent thing that I think we've all said is that the squad has massive holes in it. I don't think the forwards are anywhere near at a level where they should be for Tottenham standards. That's not to do down the likes of Richarlison and Mawani. That's great to see them on the score sheet. I think realistically, long term, I think Mawani looks to be hopefully the man for Spurs, at least in the short term. But at the same time, you ask yourself, is he just performing there because, again, it was against his parent club? He wants to, maybe impress, them or, dare I say, future employers as well. So, look, overall, the takeaways for me, a lot better than Arsenal, Chelsea. Couldn't have been much worse, I'm going to be honest with you. But I think I want to hold a little bit of judgment and reserve because I want to see what this team, what this squad produces against Fulham at the weekend, where really we massively need a home win and we need another performance. But this should be the base now to build on 100%. But I came away from last night feeling happier than I have been definitely in recent weeks. Because I think, you look back at our performances under Frank, that good 80 minutes in the Super Cup, which again, I think still was spot on. You look at the way we managed that last 10 minutes. There was a real lack of game management in that last 10 minutes against PSG. The Man City game was a superb away performance, structured. There was a plan. There was discipline in how we approached the game. But let's be honest about it. Since then, bar Copenhagen, we've not seen enough consistent performances. So it was good to see at least a will to fight for each other against Paris Saint-Germain. but that needs to be the base now for how we move forward.
Yeah, great point. Ricky, just before I come to Johnny on a different question, just to follow up on what you're saying there about game management. A lot of people in the chat on my watch along last night, and myself included, around the 55, 58 minute mark was saying, you can see the second half has started differently. We're looking leggy. Maybe the effect of that press is starting to take hold, and Paris are getting into the game a lot more. Everybody was calling, like universally, everybody in my chat was calling for subs earlier. I don't know if you felt that way watching the game. Do you think that Thomas Frank? I mean, I'll come to in the next sort of question for the other guys about the specifics of the goals we conceded and scored. But just on the game state overall, do you think that Thomas Frank's game management yesterday was optimal, or was there room for improvement? Or are we just playing Monday morning quarterback by saying coulda, woulda, shoulda on certain things?
The frustrating thing is that we had 3 subs ready to go just before PSG had scored. So the argument was Frank hesitantly making the changes quick enough that would maybe have an effect on the game? I think one thing that is clear, and I think for those that might have seen Sky Sports recently, Frank has been really adamant about the fact that he's happy for certain moments in the game for players to shoot from outside the box based on the fact there's a lesser chance of XG of them scoring. But if you look at a lot of the goals Spurs have conceded this season, a lot of them have been from outside the box. So my concern would be, why are we not pressing the opposition enough? Why are we not switched on enough from opposition corners to be defending? And that is an alarm bell that's been ringing, because, again, this whole thing around the XG, there's an upward of improvement, of course, against PSG on that. But there needs to be, I think, a lot more focus on what we are doing when we are not in possession. Certainly, when we are conceding the goals that we're conceding. So, like I said, I think I saw some real glimmers of hope. It was great to see Frank play over 4-4-2. He changed it up. He did something differently. But again, like I said earlier, I can totally understand why fans have their reservations right now, given the nature of selection at the moment, the lack of consistency, but also to balance it out for Thomas Frank. I don't think he's got anywhere near the squad he wants because of the nature of that. Fact, you look at the players he worked with in terms of forwards, they're of a different level to what he's working at Tottenham, all due respect, bar Mawani at the moment. Richarlison, 3 out of 3, but I think we all probably know with Richarlison, if we could have the opportunity to potentially do a swap with him in January for somebody of a higher calibre, we certainly would. Do down Richarlison, he scored a good goal last night, but I think there's still a lot we need to see from Thomas Frank's Tottenham to be convinced at the moment.
Yeah, love that, mate. Excuse me. Johnny, let me come to you, mate, about the specifics of the goals, right? So, obviously, we scored 3, they scored 5. I don't want to go through every single one of them specifically with the details, but I think the 3 goals that we scored, listen, I'll let you, again, not to answer for you, but the 3 goals that we scored, I felt like were generally well-worked moves, either from pressure that paid off with Moani's second. The first goal, that was a brilliant little flick from Archie Gray from Bergwijn into Archie Gray, who picks up a delicious pass, and then, well worked from Moani back in for Richie. And of course, the second one came from a set piece. I think it was just from a set piece. Back post, hit the bar or whatever, or good save, and then Moani sticks it home. Versus the 5 that we conceded, all of them, 3 of them kind of carbon copy. One of them a mistake from a corner kick, laziness, sloppiness, I guess, to clear it. And obviously a penalty that I'm not sure we could do much about. When you look at it from that perspective, Johnny, would you say like it's 5 individual errors or 4 individual errors and a bit of bad luck versus 3 goals that were well-worked moves? Or would you say, something else? What's your sort of balance of play on the analysis of how the game went there in that with regards to goals that were scored?
Well, listen, I'll start with their goals. I think the first goal, we should have been more alert to the short corner to begin with for the corner. But I'll be honest with you.
This one, wasn't it? That's the first one there.
Yeah. I've got to be honest with you. You can say what you like, but only a world-class player takes that ball coming across his body and hits that as quickly as he does and as well as he does for that first goal. I think it was an absolute world-class strike. Personally, that's me speaking. There was no touch on it. There wasn't 2 touches on it to close it down. I don't think even if you had pushed out on that one, much could have been done. I thought it was a superb strike. His second one, again, a beautiful finish, bent round.
That's the one.
But could Bentancur have done something about it? Potentially. it was a fantastic finish, a class finish. But maybe Bentancur was worried getting a chest to it could deflect it in. But I think he could have done more to actually maybe deflect it away. The other goals the two goals were poor. Personally, Sean, I think Romero's pass to Papa Sarr was poor. I think
that was a foul, Johnny. Was that potentially a foul that wasn't checked?
Say to this to you. I thought it was a foul. He gets his body in front of the ball, his legs are in front of the ball, and he comes right through the back of him. I was waiting for a VAR. I was waiting for the referee. I was waiting for a replay on the television of that incident, and nothing came.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're away from home. Nothing happened. I thought it was a foul, but it doesn't excuse. First of all, I think Papa could have been a bit stronger. The pass wasn't good enough. That's it.
There was a whole bunch of bad decisions there, right? Vicario put Romero under pressure. PSG exerted their first press of the evening. They hadn't pressed for Toffee until then. And then also Romero gives him the hospital pass to Sarr. I don't know who's to blame. I think it's a calamity of errors in decision making.
I think they're all to blame. I think they're all culpable in it. There's the other goal. I do think that Papa Sarr went to sleep and allowed him to centre back to sneak in there. Yes, there were others who may have got out or may have got involved, but it was definitely his man, and he definitely went to sleep. And as for the penalty, I'm not quite sure.
I don't have the penalty screenshot. Sorry.
I don't quite understand what you're meant to do. Look, it's the rules is the rules, but you try going in with your hands behind your back and break your arm. Okay, you go in like this. It's not like he's gone up with his hand extended well above his head. It was out, but it was like here. Yeah, it wasn't above. I don't know whether they can bring in a rule which says if the hand is extended above the head, or some.
At the end of the day, though, like the rules are the rules. It was a penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the press. But the one thing I will tell you, I'd like to know what percentage of people thought for 1 second that Vicario was going to save it, because I didn't even bother thinking about it. I just knew it was going in because I don't remember him ever for a penalty ever. Our goals. I thought the first one was a lovely goal, a really, really nice goal. The back flip from Bergvall, juicy cross. It was a filthy back heel, a lovely cross from Archie Gray. Mawani does well to rise at the back post and head it back, and Richie was there anticipating to head it in. Yeah. Good goal, good team goal. The second goal from the corner, I thought was excellent because Richie did really well to keep that ball in play, heading it back. Archie Gray hooks it out and Mawani connects nicely. They couldn't stop it going in. And the third one was what I see Mawani do a lot. Yes, he got fortunate with the bounce, but he's mobile. The difference is Mawani
started with the press though from was it Ben? I think it was Bentancur, wasn't it? That pressed the life out of, was it Neves? No, Neves was off at the time. I forget who it was.
Yeah, listen, look, I thought the two of them, whatever you think of Richarlison and whatever you think of Mawani, I think the two of them linked really well on the night. I saw a lot of complaints from people saying Frank doesn't know what he's doing. He's taken Mawani off. Guys, Mawani is not 100% match fit. That's why he came off, and that's why Richie stayed on, because he is match fit now. So, look, there were two very Spursy goals. But listen, we accept it maybe more because it's PSG, but it doesn't stop me being pissed off because they shouldn't be happening. And we can't afford these sort of mistakes. Was it Thomas Frank that made those mistakes? Because I've seen some people blame Thomas Frank for it. Which is
that's the question, isn't it? That's why I asked the question with Johnny, is like, was it the gameplay, was it the tactics, or was it just individual errors that led to that second half falling apart?
I will say that I think that maybe the substitutions could have been a bit earlier. if I'm honest. Whether or not he was waiting for something to happen, or he was trying to save them for the weekend. But I think it's taught two players a lesson. If you want to get in the team, drop the attitude, drop the face, drop the look. I mean, Xavi Simons afterwards looked like he'd just come from a funeral.
We'll come to Xavi Simons in a later question. I've obviously got hundreds of questions to get through, and we're already 25% of the way through. Stel, I'll obviously let you go where you sort of want to with this one, but I do want to sort of press you a little bit here on your favourite player. I'm trying to find through the screenshots which one is it that I need. Oh, that's the one. I mean, man of the match for Tottenham last night. Who signed him? I think we're not sure who signed him in the end. Was it Levy? Was it Vinay? It doesn't matter. I mean, listen, it was a different tactic. The mistakes, were they individual? Were they by design? But from poor setup, I don't know. But still, I've seen you write down 1,000 notes in the last sort of 20 minutes, mate. You've had your head down, scribbling down things. Sounds like you've got a lot. I think you might have a lot to say on this one, so I'll let you run with it, buddy.
I'm fed up. I'm completely done.
What's up, Stel? Come on, talk to us. Get it off your chest.
No, I'm genuinely. I'm fed up. I'm done with what I'm seeing, and I'm done with what's going on in this football club. And part of the reason I'm fed up is if anyone dares to speak up or anyone dares to say things that need to be said, you're just persecuted. If you dare to question the manager, you hate Tottenham. If you dare to talk about a player because you don't think they're good enough, you don't support the club. If you dare to just be anything, but you've got to be positive. Just be positive. Even if we're losing, even if the same defensive mistakes are happening that you saw last year and the year before and the year before, you don't know football. I'm just fed up of where we are as a club, Sean. And I'm being really honest with all of you. Last night, I was doing the watch along for We Are Tottenham TV, and I sat back after the game and I said,
please, thank you.
Sorry?
No free plugs, I think you said.
Free plugging here, please.
You plug Football Inc. every week, Johnny.
Come on.
only plug Johnny's channel and the Spurs and last word on Spurs. I'm just at a place now where I'm done. I've seen enough to know what I'm seeing, and for me now, there is no doubt in my mind the problem we have got is two things. One, it's a significant, not all, but a significant section of our fan base. And two, it's Thomas Frank. There's no doubt in my mind. And
okay, can we just like the fan base has absolutely like the minuscule amount of impact. We have a lot of opinions.
I disagree, Sean, because I think where I'm at with it now is fans say one thing and then they do the opposite, right? I'll give an example. Off the back of yesterday's game, so many fans were saying, I can see the positive, I can see green shoots, it's exactly what they said when we lost to Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. And then look at the games afterwards. There's no positives and there's no green shoots unless, and I'm going to agree with Ricky Sachs, unless there is consistency. If there's a consistency in how we play, in how we perform, in results, then you can say that is positive. And I said it with Ange as well. I said, I want to see Ange go 5 games without losing. And then I'll say that his 4-0 win away at Man City, we're heading in the right direction.
In the world of content, how do you fill that gap then if you're waiting for 4 games before you can have an opinion?
Because what I think has now happened at this club is that Thomas Frank, he's over tinkering. And I don't know why he's doing this, because this isn't him. This isn't Thomas Frank. He's over tinkering. And I'm saying to myself, you are one of the only managers that was allowed to bring your entire coaching team into this club. You've got all your coaches here, and we have regressed. In my opinion, we've gone backwards. Less points in the league than last season, less goals scored, more goals conceded. The defence is a shambles. People that say we're more resilient, we're better defensively. No, we're not. We're a joke. And I'm thinking, why? How is it this is where we're at? Because when we win, no one's saying the players are shit. No one said the players were crap. when we beat Man City, when we beat Everton, when we beat West Ham, when we beat Copenhagen. No one was slamming the players. When we lose, oh, he's shit, he's at fault, individual errors. You weren't saying that when we won. For me, I think the noise, whether it's from the fan base, the media, maybe from the echelons above, there is noise that somehow caused Frank to overtry, to overcook. Do you know what? I've been saying all season, I want him to go to a back three with attacking fullbacks, two in the defensive mid role. If we're playing weaker opposition, go to one in the defensive mid, a front two. I've been saying all season because I think that's what will be the best for us with the players we've got.
So
I'm not the manager. Let me finish, please, Johnny. I'm not the manager. I don't run Tottenham. It's for him to decide what's best. But what I want to see Frank do is this. Pick your system. Pick the way you want to approach the game. Focus on developing one play, one style that you can make work. And once you've got that working, then develop a plan B, a plan C. But this 1 week 4-2-2-2, another week 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 3-5-2, back five, back two. Mate, the players are confused. Of course they're making mistakes. Of course we look dysfunctional. Of course we lose games. The players is too much to take in. I learned this as a coach. Plan, do, review. Make your plan, do it, and then review it. And if it doesn't work, go back to the plan stage. Johnny, 1 second. Or maybe the do wasn't quite right. But stick to it for 10 games because you don't know if something works unless you give it time. Give your system 10 games.
We played a 4-2-3-1 for the majority of the season.
Fine. And if that doesn't work, Sean, now go to another system and stick with it. But we played Arsenal. We played one. I don't interrupt you when you speak. We played one complete system against Arsenal and a complete different one against PSG. And all of you know, none of us know what we're going to do against Fulham. None of us. We don't know. So what do you think the players feel? They haven't got a clue. This is why we are regressing. It's because Thomas Frank has stopped being Thomas Frank. I want Thomas Frank to start being Frank again. Just be yourself, buddy. Believe in your ideology. Believe in your football and believe in your system. At least Anne said,
wait.
Phil, I tell you why you're talking rubbish.
You knew what Conte was going to do. You knew what Mourinho was going to do. You knew what Ange is going to do. I want Frank to be Frank.
So you want him to have
my opinion are confused. What's the point? Go on.
Yeah, well, you've had your say, and I'll tell you one thing. You've called it out. And what I'll say to you, if you knew Thomas Frank to be Thomas Frank, this is Thomas Frank.
No, it's not. Brentford didn't chop and change every single week, Johnny. They didn't. They didn't chop and change every single week.
5 years. 5 years.
They didn't chop and change every single week.
One at a time. One at a time, please. After me.
Can I come in, Sean?
It's one thing.
Hold up.
It's one thing to. I want to reply to this because I've got some experience in this. It's one thing to be able to adapt. It's another thing not being good at your core plan. You've got to have a base plan that you build from, and then you say, right, now we can adapt here. Now we can adapt that.
You made the point. You made that point.
We look shit. We look crap every week.
Johnny, wait, hold on.
Too scared to say it because you've gone all in with Frank. You're too scared to say it.
You made your point about the stick plan review. Lubo, let me come to this. I knew it was going to be lively. I love it. Lubo.
Because everyone's too scared to say it, Sean. Everyone's too scared to say it.
And you've said it. Johnny, wait. Johnny, just wait, please. Lubo hasn't had a chance to speak on this round, okay? Lubo, you wanted to come in? Please come in.
Yeah, no, first, funny enough, just look, Jess just sent me a text there. He agrees with you 100%. So, good evening, Jeff. Pleased to see your work. You're watching again today. What do I think? I think that I've said all along that I felt that for the first few away games this season, he has set up correctly, but at home, I hate the fact that he plays two central defensive midfield players, and it's hurting the way we play. So for me, I want that 4-2-3-1 scrapped at home. I'll come on to, when we talk about Fulham, I'll come on to the team that I would pick, but it would be in a 4-4-2 formation. I think that Frank is over tinkering. I understand why, because he's not sure. if all five of us and everybody in there who's watching tonight and everybody in the chat were to pick their best 11, there'd be God knows how many different versions. And that's the problem. He doesn't know his best 11. Now, we've had injuries. We got key players missing as well. And Frank is trying to find his way to, what's his best 11. He also picks teams depending on the opposition, which is great up to a point. But sometimes you've got to say, right, let's work to our strengths. How are we going to beat this team? What are the players these are the tactics that we need to beat them. Not necessarily change of personnel or change of style, but this is how we're going to play. And for me, I think it's a mixture of a lot of things still.
It's the manager. It's the manager, Lubo. People are scared to say it.
I've got to tell you,
manager.
Still,
he's got his entire coaching team.
Hang
He can't coach the defenders to defend.
Right, no, that's fine. But I'll answer you on that.
All right, listen, you and Johnny are on mute until Lubo's finished his point. That's it. You're done.
Right. Still, you're a coach, and the further up the ladder you go, you have to hold. The less you hold those players' hands, and the less they need your direction and your instructions when they get over the white line. So you talk about Frank, and we talk about last night, and you think to yourself, who told Vicario? Frank's there and he's watching Vicario give it to Romero give it to Sarr, and Sarr's in a dream. I don't know where Sarr thought he was, but he must have known there was a player on him. And between the three of them, they screwed up and PSG scored. Now, that's not down to Frank. Frank must, if you're a manager, you're looking at that and you're putting your head in your hands, because you can't turn around and say you got 3 internationals, full internationals, that have made that mistake. So, when it comes, you talk about Frank, I'm not sure what Frank's meant to do in that situation.
Can I tell you? Can I answer, Sean?
No, not yet. No, not yet. No, not yet. You can't actually. That's fine. You can disagree, and we're going to get into like a round circle in a minute. I want to bring Ricky back in. Ricky, just specifically though, I do want to ask about some questions. Lubo had the opportunity there to bring in Archie Gray. Didn't. I'll let you come back into it later on there, Lubo. But Archie Gray, for example, a young player getting his debut in the Champions League. I think getting his debut in the Champions League last night. Certainly a gauntlet and a baptism of fire for him, alongside Bergvall and Pape Sarr. I'm trying to sort of change tack on the conversation just to diffuse it for a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to get chaos. I know. So we can let things erupt later on in the second half of the show. But just for the now, I just want to get back onto some sort of train of track here. 3 young midfielders, Johnny, Ricky. Sorry, 3 young midfielders. Did they do anything last night that makes the argument around squad selection a little bit more difficult for Thomas Frank? And knowing what we can all agree that there is no consistent theme or tactic being played, and we're sort of jumping from pillar to post here. What's your sort of impression on how those guys specifically performed, and whether or not they should be putting their name in the hat for more minutes ahead of other players like Polinia, Bentancur, or potentially Xavi in the next game?
Can I just say, Shawnee, I don't know how you're refereeing this and working through this, but I tell you what, that bloke deserves an Oscar. Honestly, the way he's managing this is superb. Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall, I think both of them played ever so well, and I think they're going to give Thomas Frank now a real dilemma as to what to do for the selection for Fulham, which I know we'll come on to. But I thought, Gray played ever so well. I know I'm going to be labelled with being part of Lubo's membership club with Archie Gray, but I thought he did really, really put in a really good performance. Bergvall did as well. I think, this has been the problem on a lot of the season, that we've had this real dilemma around the midfield. I totally understand the issues we've got around this kind of pivot of Bentancur or Polina. I think that works really well away from home. I think at home you need to be more adventurous, as I know Lubo has said really consistently throughout on the Spurs Five. But, the thing with Gray and, again, Bergvall Sarr is that we've not seen enough consistency in all of these players to have real trust and belief that they can do a job in there over a consistent basis. And again, that is why there is a lot of doubts out there. And that's why, again, it backs up Stell's point around the concerns we have over the ability of the squad and the ability of Frank to find a consistent 11. And that is, again, the point I go back to Stelman, if you don't mind, is that where I do agree with him is that it's very hard to find a consistency in performances and rhythm in games when you are continually changing the selection week upon week. And I appreciate for Thomas Frank, he's not got the squad right now that he would like to work with. Totally get that. But my worry is that from one week to the next, and I think you can see this, there is a confusion, not just amongst the fans, to touch upon what Stel was said, but definitely amongst the players as to what is Frank going to do the next game to change it up? And am I going to get an opportunity to build on the performance I've just had? So I think it's a real dilemma right now in terms of what Frank does in terms of the midfield options. But you'd have to say, based on the performances of both Bergvall and Sarr, that it would feel really, really harsh for neither of them to be featuring against Fulham at the weekend and be given the opportunity to build on what was two very good progressive performances against Paris Saint-Germain. Because otherwise, what is the point of giving players an opportunity if they're not going to be given the chance to build on it? So I think it's going to be interesting decisions for Thomas Frank to make. And I think, again, it goes back to that point that at the moment, we cannot guess the selection game upon game, which I think is a big issue because I think for any successful manager in the Premier League, I think it's built on having a consistency around selection. And we have not seen that anywhere near enough under Frank so far.
Is that because of, until last week, Ricky, we had 12 injuries out. I know that it wasn't 12 from the start, but we've had obviously 2 or 3 long-termers, and then people have picked up knocks along the way. Udoghi's had knocks, Romero's had knocks, Porro's been. I won't go through all of the list, but is part of the tactics versus talent conversation, the debate around why is it that he can't find the formation that he's happy with? Why is it that he can't find? How much of it is him not knowing, not appreciating what he's got, not really trusting, versus how much of it is that he hasn't had enough time to see these people fully fit, like Mawani, for example, only recently coming back. Where does that sort of slice
to come back on that? I think it's a combination of the two. He's been very unlucky in the fact that there's been times where, for example, Xavi Simons has missed the odd game where maybe he could have followed up on a good performance and hasn't had the opportunity to do so. But I think at the same time also, Frank, let's not get away from this. Frank has had the opportunity to play a player twice within a week, and for whatever reason that we are maybe unbeknown to, hasn't decided to do so. I think that is where, again, you look at the manager for the reasons to why that isn't happening. And that is my concern when it comes to trying to build consistency around players' performances. I think it's very hard to see us doing that and having confidence in the players that are available if they are not even going to be given the opportunity to follow up on the good performances they have. And I think it's down to Frank now to trust a little bit more in the players, because otherwise, to go back to Stel's point, I think there is going to be confusion very much for the players about what their role is in the team. When they have no reassurance on the back of a good game, they're going to feature again.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Sean, can I just add to what Ricky said very briefly?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, of course.
For a manager, whether it's Frank, whether it's Ancelotti, whoever, Arteta, for a manager to trust the players, the manager must trust his own decision-making. He must trust himself with his idea to trust the players. This is why I bring it back to the manager. If you don't trust to pick the same players or to pick a player, that is your decision. It comes from you. The trust for a player is a trust of your ideology, your philosophy. And I just wanted to add that to what Ricky said.
No, it's absolutely fine. And the only reason I sort of didn't let you come back on Lilywhite there just for a second, just because I was getting a little bit chaotic and I wanted to. I've got so many questions for you guys all to go through. Johnny, I do want to sort of dig into this, and Ricky's going to be back in a few minutes, guys. He's just got.
Can I answer what happened way back there, which I never got a chance to answer, just quickly?
As long as he doesn't like read.
It's like because I didn't get a chance to reply, right? Which is fine. But the point here is, I've been watching Thomas Frank for 5 years, right, in the Championship and all through his time coming into the Premier League. And just when I thought I knew the system he was playing, I'd go and watch the next week, and it was a completely different system, different setup, because he was playing a different team. And whether it was to negate their strengths and maximise their own strengths, I'm not sure. But constantly, I never knew what system they were going to play. So I understand what Stel is saying as far as consistency. But if you know Thomas Frank, you will not see the same setup, game in, game out, the same formation, game in, game out. It's fluid, it's flexibility. And I seem to remember everyone complaining last year and the year before that
predictability.
Manager,
yeah,
predictable, constantly predictable.
So let me ask this, Johnny. Right?
Overdoing it, Johnny.
Hang on.
Overdoing it. We're overdoing it.
One second.
That's not what fans said. That's not what fans said. That's not what fans said. This is disingenuous, Sean. This is disingenuous. Fans never said that. That's not what they said.
Hang on. There was a lot of hang on.
There's one thing adapting. There's nothing changing.
Hang on. You know what? I got this. This is madness, guys. You can't. No one can hear everyone talk at the same time. So please, Johnny. Listen. In terms of the Ange Postecoglou thing, we did play one way, right? It was gung ho football.
Yeah,
and most people were saying, it's predictable.
Correct.
When it works, it works. When it doesn't. All that sort of thing. Thomas Frank is tinkering his system a hell of a lot. Whether it's too much or otherwise is up for debate.
Yeah.
Stell thinks it's too much. Ricky agrees. You're saying that he's always done it. Stell's saying he didn't used to do it. Let me ask this: even if we meet in the middle and say he did do it more than what Stell believes, but maybe not as much as this. Right? Let me sort of phrase the question.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility here that because we don't have any time on the training ground because we're playing 2 games a week, that even if Thomas Frank did used to tinker his system from back 3 to back 4, whatever, quite often at Brentford, at Tottenham, he can't possibly have had enough time on the training ground to be able to have polished any of these methods?
Yeah, look, what I'm saying here is if I was allowed to finish, I actually agreed with Stell. If he listened, I was saying, what you shake your head for?
Come on, Johnny, just
agreeing with you, mate.
Johnny, it's turning into an argument.
I'm agreeing with him because the fact of the matter is he is changing it too much. What I'm trying to say here is if you don't like the fact that he changes the stuff around, you've got the wrong manager. Well, you think we got the wrong manager anyway. But I'm just saying he played at Brentford. Mate, put your head in your hands all you like. It's a fucking arsehole thing. Come on. You want to debate it? Fine.
I'm not allowed to speak. That's why I'm doing it.
My friend has players at Brentford. I've watched them play. I've watched the systems. I've seen him change it. I've seen him change it up. Is he changing it too much right now? Probably. Because of injuries, because of things going on. What I'm saying is, I'm not denying it's probably being tinkered around too much. And there's inconsistency. What I'm trying to say, if I've managed to finish my point was that we will see once we've even got a more settled team and a settled squad, you will see players and systems change to suit who we were playing. That's my point I'm trying to make.
Okay, fair enough. Stell, let me ask you the same question then. If Thomas Frank does change, has got a history of being a tinkerer, is it problematic because he doesn't have the amount of time on the training ground like he did at Brentford? At Brentford, he was playing 1 game a week, so he has enough time to even do those things. And I know he definitely changed systems over time, right? He didn't start out as at Brentford 7 years ago with the system and the way he played football towards the end. He moved it around as he went through the leagues, and he moved it around as he went through the competitive gears. But at Tottenham, where I would agree with you, is he's definitely tried several different tactics in a short space of time, and he's moving the pieces around. But where he's getting the hours on the training ground in order to get these guys familiar with that, I find that a bit of a square circle. Not sure how that works out.
Yeah. Firstly, I'm going to say, if people in the chat just want to give me abuse all night, I don't mind. I'm big enough to take it. But then what I'll do is I'll just agree with the panel, and you can just have a very nice, positive echo chamber of love for Frank. Or you can actually have someone on this panel that's prepared to challenge the status quo. You pick. Let me know. I'm happy to adapt. I'm adapting.
I've been too busy.
That's okay. It's fine. I don't mind. I'm big enough to take it. I'm trying to know. You want a debate, or do you want an echo chamber? What would you like to the people?
We love a debate. We love a debate.
Come on.
You guys do. I'm just letting the chat.
Yeah, but the chat, for God's sake, like, just be respectful, but also smash the like button. There's 850 people here. Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe.
We're giving you value.
I'm guessing people watch us because we don't all have the same opinion. That's kind of how I thought our channel was quite popular, because we've got almost 900 watching. So for me, your question was about over tinkering, was it, Sean? Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, it's just about, like, does he have the time? Like, I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I think that he does he's always tinkered more than you're probably alluding to, Stel. But I also think that he's tinkering too much, especially when you consider we're playing 2 games a week, and with the Champions League, it's 2 days recovery, 2 days traveling, 2 days playing. When does he get the time to get these people familiar with a 4-2-2-2, then a back three, and then so I'm with you on that regard. I just want to know where you land on that point.
100% he can't do it at Tottenham, and we know he can't because it's failing, right? We had a manager last year who was wide open, kamikaze defending, absolutely atrocious defending. He just went pedal to the metal, full throttle, guns ho, just try and score. That's how we defend. And it was disastrous in the league, and everyone wanted him out because of it. We've now got a manager who is better defensively, who's a coach, who's more structured with his team, and we are conceding more goals. Make it make sense. So we know it's not working, the over tinkering, because we've got a more defensive manager and team structure, and we're conceding more goals. At the top end of the pitch, he signed 3 or 4 attackers. We're scoring less goals. So yes, it is a problem, Sean, because we can see the evidence to back it up. Either Frank is an awful manager, or these players are awful, or something isn't quite clicking. And for me, after 12 games, I've seen enough now. He's overdoing it. He just needs to stick with one ideology. I know what I would like him to do, but it's up to him. Pick your way, stick to it. And once we're competent at it, not even brilliant, once we're competent at it, then try and evolve it to another system. And then build the way that you were at Brentford, where you had multiple systems. But you've got to start with one that we're good at. Because right now, Sean, we're crap every single week, bar the odd game here and there. So yes, at Spurs, because the expectation's higher, because there's more games, because there's less time on the training pitch, because we get more injuries than all the other clubs for some reason, mate.
It's less and less justification to tinker as much. I hear you. Lubo, let me bring you in, mate. I want to bring you on this tactics versus talent thing, right? So if we are being volatile with our performances, I think Stel's making an impassioned plea there, and I respect it regarding the over tinkering. Johnny doesn't agree, clearly.
No, I agree. I agree that we are probably at the moment over tinkering. What I'm saying is, I'll make it very plain again, that historically, since
Frank
I've been
always he has tinkered.
Is up. That's
yeah. Fair enough. Okay, so fine.
Over the top.
Fair enough. Lubo, is there any element to the? So if the argument right now is that the tactics and the tinkering and all that stuff is to blame, is there an argument? Listen, I think performances like last night versus performances like Arsenal, and when you see absolute shit shows like you saw against Arsenal and Chelsea, and then the commentary from people like in our world is from some people is it's not Thomas Frank's fault, it's the players that are shit. But then you see performances last night where you go up against the European champions and the performances were vastly improved and there was passion and desire. To me, I was saying this last night, I think that the argument that the players are not capable of doing anything more is a moot point, because we are capable at times. Players like Romero is capable of being a world-class defender at times, but at other times when his concentration goes or whatever, he's capable of the bozo gene. So, Luba, I'd ask you sort of broadly, and welcome back, Ricky. I'd ask you broadly, Luba, is it over tinkering? Is it the tactical too much too soon, all this stuff? Or is there an argument to say the talent, if you had better talent than what we have, then Thomas Frank could still tinker and do all the things that he's doing, and they would be able to turn out more consistent performances?
I've always said, and I've said on this show many times, that it's about players and it's about players' ability. And if a player is that good, you smash a ball at him from whatever angle, whatever speed, or whatever height, and he'll glide with the ball, he'll control it. we are lacking those sort of players. We're giving the ball away more than any other team in the Premier League. I think Frank is over tinkering. I think the problem, I mean, the players must be completely, their heads must be shot with the amount of different styles and you know, different players that are coming in. And, you know, you can't build consistency. You can't build partnerships this way. I still don't think he knows his best 11. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I know our best 11. You know, there are, you know, you look at things, and I read a very interesting article today where did Frank have his Poch moment last night? And what I mean is, when Spurs went to Aston Villa in the early days and Kane got that free kick in the last minutes, we were 1-0 down, and allegedly Frank turned around to Jesus and said, "We're going to get our P45s tomorrow." And then all of a sudden we got an equaliser, and then Kane scored the free kick in the last minute. And the whole thing turned around. Kane started coming through in a big way. And maybe Frank has looked at the performances over the last few weeks. Chelsea and Arsenal performances were absolutely disgusting from virtually every single player. So maybe he's looking at it and thinking, do you know what? We're not doing it, particularly at home. Away, you know, the results and the points speak for themselves. At home, I think it's been horrendous. I think he's been too negative, not negative. Negative's the wrong word. Cautious is probably the right word. I think he's looked at last night. I think he probably thinks to himself, Palini and Bentancur is the best partnership. They are the most established. They're the eldest. They've played more games, etc., etc., etc. But you know what? He stuck Graham Bergvall out there, and he got legs, and they ran, and they overlapped, and they gave PSG problems. And all of a sudden, it's now forget about being safe, looking after your own job. You've now got to stick players in and give these guys a chance. Coach Bergvall so that he doesn't give the ball away as much as he does. Give Gray that opportunity to show what he can do. And you're right, Sean, unless you start giving these players that opportunity, they're in, outs, you know, people, you know, I was having a chat with Dan, who's in the comments, and he, you know, just saying that Graham Bergvall faded a little bit sort of halfway through the second half. They haven't played for weeks. Bergvall, we know, has been out injured with concussion, and Gray's hardly played. So it's no surprise when players fade 60, 65 minutes into a game. Yeah. And I just think
can I ask Lubo a question?
When you're done. A bit lost still. I think he's a little. Hopefully, last night was a lampshade moment. The light went on, the light bulb went on, and he's thinking, do you know what? I don't have to play negatively, cautiously at home. I can have players with more legs that are going to get round the pitch. For me,
Lubo, can I ask you a question on this?
In a white shirt again. I'm
done. Can I ask you a question on this? Okay. You said that he doesn't know his best 11. Okay. So 2 questions. 1, how can you ever know your best 11 if you don't give 11 players at least 5-6 games in a row to show you if they're your best or not? And 2, do you now think, because so many fans think that was much better performance, look how much better we are when you don't have Paulinho in that midfield who isn't a progressive passer. Look what happens when Kudus isn't on the pitch, who is too greedy. Xavi Simons being dropped because he hasn't quite hit the ground running. These are the things I heard. Do you now think, Frank, for the next 2, 3, 4 games, just stick with that squad? Maybe 1 or 2, okay, but stick with that squad. Do you now think that's what he should do for him to find his best 11?
Well, not change anybody, regardless.
To find your best 11, there's got to be some consistency.
You're asking me what team I'd pick for. What team I'd pick?
No, to find your best 11 is what I'm saying. How would you do that?
I'd sort of compromise a bit for Saturday. I'd stay with the same system of 4-4-2, right? But I'd make 2 or 3 changes. It's a different game. We're at home, and we need more creativity, I think, to go with the
So
extra.
tinker again, basically.
Hang on, I got to challenge this notion though for a second, right? Like, do we agree that the back, like 4 of the back 5, have been stable for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then he knows well enough when he knows enough about Destiny Udogie and Jed Spence to know when Jed Spence is necessary. Right,
Correct.
Jed Spence is more necessary against teams that have got unbelievable right wingers who want to cut in on their left foot because his right foot and he's a brilliant one-on-one defender. If you're playing against a team where that doesn't exist, that threat doesn't exist, then you play Udogie and you might play Odebear up front as a consequence. So this notion that he tinkers too much because he doesn't know his best 11, I just want to challenge the that recipe, Ricky, for a second, mate. I want to come to you. Isn't it also possible that he does know who he wants to play, but it just depends on who he's playing? And that there's certain teams where Destiny Udogie is going to get chewed alive in his mind versus Jed Spence, or other teams where maybe there's a better left winger for the other opposition, and therefore Pedro Porro might be the scapegoat, and Jed Spence goes over there because Jed Spence is, of the 3 of them, the best at one division of that particular fullback's game. Same, and then the same with, if you're going to play at home, Odebear is more likely to get minutes because we need to do some things in the creative side, but he's not going to be an effective player in a game like last night because we're not going to have that much of the ball to be able to take on superb right backs like Zaire Emery or Hakimi or whatever else. So like, is it as simple as saying he doesn't know his best 11? Maybe he knows his player profiles well enough to know where you fit them in depending on the opposition.
I think surely what I'm going to say is going to make me maybe a bit unpopular with some people, but it is what it is. We had a manager within the last 18 months that delivered us a European trophy, and we give him our flowers for that 100%. But that manager, I think, did not focus enough in terms of traits of the opposition that we should have been focused on going into games and really, I think, looking to exploit, nullify, and turning up pretty much putting out the same sort of tactical approach week upon week. Whereas with Thomas Frank, my concern with Frank a little bit is that, yes, we wanted a tactician. Yes, we wanted someone that's going to study the opposition. My only concern with Frank is that he seems at times so ultra obsessed with the opposition that by doing so, seem to be losing our own identity as a club. And what I mean by that is that I think there's this approach. And look, you guys know, going to Spurs week upon week, I'm talking to 4 home season to get holders here, home fans, that there is an approach that many know going to Spurs that at home, there is that fundamental basic that Tottenham should be on the front foot, in the majority of the possession of the ball, and looking to dictate and conduct the play and not giving up a huge amount of possession. And my worry is that from what we've seen in the recent home performances, that we've gone against our own ideology as a football club, because at times we've become so obsessed about what the opposition are going to do to us. They've actually lost a sense of what we should be as a football club. And that is at the moment my concern and my worries. And I think to come on to that point, this is why the next 2 home games are absolutely crucial and fundamental for Thomas Frank to get results and to get performances. Fulham and Brentford, with all due respect, yes, they can be on their day good teams, but these are 2 teams that you would expect, despite the concerns around our squad, the quality of it, you expect with Tottenham's players, they should have enough to beat those 2 teams and to play a decent brand of football. We should not have to rely on set pieces, a moment of individual brilliance to win games. We need to be taking the ball, conducting the tempo, conducting the play, and being front foot. And I'm not saying that approach should be the same for every single game of the season, but when you are at home, that should be the tempo. If I'm going to be honest with you guys, with Frank, it's not always on the field what's concerning me, what he's actually doing. It's actually what he's saying off the field, both pre and post-match, which are my concerns. And I'll just raise one thing. I don't know if you guys saw it. In the pre-match press conference going into the Champions League against Paris Saint-Germain, he said that in a 60-game season, we should only expect 10 to 12 perfect games. And then the rest of those games are a make-up of pretty much decent performances. I just, that wording to me does not scream of what I want to hear as the Tottenham manager. And I'm not saying that he can't become what we want him to be, but just that transition of being from Brentford to Tottenham for me is not seeping through enough at the moment in terms of what is coming out of his mouth. And that's where I have my concerns. It's what's actually coming out of his mouth in addition to what we're seeing tactically at home, which has got me concerned at the moment. And which is why he needs to have 2 decent home performances coming up, and we need to be on the front foot.
Ricky, do you know why I think Frank made those comments? You know, when I was trying to explain that he's over tinkering, and I think he's getting caught up in the noise, whether it's noise from the fans, noise from the media, people influencing how he thinks now that he's at Tottenham. I think those comments he made, it's the noise has got to him. He's being influenced that you aren't at Brentford, mate. You're at Tottenham now. You need to play a certain way. You can't keep doing this. I think somehow he's allowed that to get into him up here, and he's trying to say things to either deflect or as an effect of the noise, which is why I said he just needs to start believing in himself again. Start being him. Because I don't
know what's funny though, Snell, is he's been denying of the fact of he's been listening to any of the noise, because he said in the last press conference, I don't hear anything, I don't listen to anything. Whereas with all due respect to Ange, we know Ange was even subscribed to The Athletic on a daily basis for every article that came out.
And he's arguing with the fans.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, look, with Frank, I do think there is that, it appears at the moment, fear of just letting that handbrake go to some degree what we saw against PSG. And I think the reason why some fans aren't getting too carried away, you know, to maybe some of Stell's concerns, is because we've not yet seen that handbrake lifted at home to give us confidence that we're going to see performances. And that's why, again, I think it's a massive, massive couple of weeks for Thomas Frank. You know, my worry would be if we don't perform well against Fulham and don't get the result, that next home game is Brentford. It's his old employers, and you know that Keith Andrews is going to be absolutely bang up for that game. So I think it's a really, really important home game for Thomas Frank against Fulham, where not only do we need to see a performance, we need to see a result, and we need to see confidence that the players have got that feeling that they can just go out and express themselves a little bit, release those shackles. I totally agree that we can't go all out attack, because we've seen what happens, that when we do, you know, release the fullbacks and we do push up, you can see the gaps in Tottenham. We've conceded 9 in the last 2 games. So nobody's sitting here saying that we are so ultra solid defensively, but there's got to be that balance, and he's got to find a way at home, especially of letting the players express themselves more, because you know, Shawnee, as a home fan, and you guys all know, the home form is what really is the foundation for any kind of relationship. And that's why, look, you look back at Pochettino's first season, that had its ups and downs, right? I think we got beaten by Stoke at home. Forgive me, it might have been Wigan as well. But he also beat Chelsea. He also beat Arsenal. That was massive, massive credit in the bank for Maurizio Pochettino in his first season. Thomas Frank at Tottenham in his first season has already lost away to Arsenal. He's already lost at home to Chelsea. And in relation to those 2 games, has recorded the lowest XG and broken that record twice. So that's why these home games coming up are absolutely crucial for Frank to try and give us some performances to give us that confidence.
Ricky, just before sorry, one second, just Ricky, before I bring in Lubo and Johnny on that one, just a quick summary. Do you think that Thomas Frank is under, how much pressure is he under relative to his job security at this stage of the season?
I don't think he's anywhere near the sack. I don't think he is, but at the same time, the home form needs to drastically improve, because you guys know the home form really is the bedrock to what gives the fans that trust in a manager. And we've been here, guys, you know, the last 3, 4, 5 years. We've seen it with Nuno, for example. You know, Nuno with the home games, really, he beat Man City at home, didn't he, in his opening game of the season. But even when you think about that, still wasn't enough for him even early on to get that credit in the bank. So that's why when I'm sitting here saying at the moment, I don't think he's going to lose his job. At the same time, the home form has to massively, massively improve. It has to.
Yeah. I think he's got to grow into the job and start self-believing. I think there are times when he probably looks at it, and he has admitted that, you know, I think he was asked in one of the press conferences over the last couple of days about the pressure cooker, you know, the difference in managing Brentford and Tottenham. And I think he's got to grow into the job as well. This is a step up for him as well. So, some people in life are bold and brash, and they've got massive self-confidence, and they just steam straight into it. And others take time.
Lubo, is he doing himself a little bit of a disservice though?
By saying what he said, Sean.
Well, yeah, by saying that, but it's not just that, right? Like, I think that Tottenham fans are so, I guess, fed up, right? And I think that a lot of managers that are walking through the doors at Tottenham Hotspur right now are on the receiving end of animosity and impatience and frustration from the fan base that didn't start with their arrival, and it started a long time before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ever since Pochettino left, everyone that's come through the door, it's been a regression in the performance, a regression in the output, a regression in the positive outcomes generally in the league positions and in the cups, with the exception of the Europa League. But that happened to be sandwiched within a season of absolutely dire performances. And I think that Ange Postecoglou came in. Now, people might argue that Ange Postecoglou's psychology is quite a defensive guy anyway, always finding a reason, an excuse as a salesman type guy. It's not my fault. It's like I'm not just, this isn't justified. And is Thomas Frank maybe? I've never heard him be defensive before when he was at Brentford. But when people are analysing everything he says, not taking a risk is taking a risk. Okay, well, where's that? Right. And then the other day he said, let's remind everybody that we finished 17th. Like having a little sly shot of like, let's compare, let's be relative here. It's not that bad. Like, it feels to me like a lot of the managers are coming in and probably feeling like the fans are angry with me, but they're really angry with the club. And I'm just the current occupant of the hot seat. And that sort of stuff builds up this kind of pent up, fear, I guess, in the eyes of the manager, where they can't necessarily, they don't think they can do right for doing wrong, Lubo.
As far as the fans are concerned, I'll split them into two. You've got the younger fans that have only ever seen major success with the other clubs, with the Big Five for the last 25 years, that are actually looking at it thinking, why can't we have some of this? And they're fed up because they see this massive club, amazing training ground, fantastic stadium, and they're rightly thinking, what's this stadium been built for? For mediocrity, so we can look at all the others winning trophies. And okay, we won the Europa League. Let's not take anything away from that. But we've won 2 trophies in 25 years, while all the other clubs have won. Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, City, and United have won substantially more, many more. I mean, Chelsea have won 21 trophies in that time.
Yeah, different set of circumstances though with them, isn't it?
Different circumstances, but there's no reason why we are only on 2.
No, but what I'm saying is, are the fan base, the question is more around Thomas Frank specifically, rather than going back in the past of Tottenham, are the fan base unfairly applying pressure to managers that are not necessarily deserving it of themselves so quickly? It's because of they're receiving the latest wave of pressure based on 6 years of frustrated fan base.
I don't think it's not 6 years, Sean. For the older fans like me that saw 30, I didn't see them all because I was a bit young with the double year. But between 61 and 99, we won 13 trophies. And all of a sudden, in the last 25, we've won 2. And we've gone down the pecking order when it comes to players. And the fans are frustrated. They are absolutely frustrated at this because this is a big club. We're not an elite club. I had this discussion on a group today. Someone said, "Oh, we're not an elite club." The clubs that win 20 league titles, like Liverpool and United, Inter Milan, Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Benfica, Ajax, these are elite clubs. We are not an elite club, but we are a big club. This is a very big club. We went to Wembley. We got 85,000 against Monaco. We had average crowds of about 70,000 plus when we were there for the 18 months.
Right, because that was, whether we were punching above our weight in that particular period or otherwise is up for debate. But when I'm talking about relative recency, I think that managers before, Martin Jol didn't get the pressure that Ange Postecoglou or say Conte, whatever, got, right? I'm saying that it's since Pochettino, because Pochettino's had us so close, right? We came second, we came third, we got to the Champions League final, etc. And so since then, the regression has been fairly steep. I think that I'm just making the argument that maybe the pressure on the managers, or at least their reaction to the pressures, is primarily built on a frustrated fan base. Before you come in, Johnny hasn't spoken he's been very patient. So I'll let Lubo finish his sentence and then Johnny comes in, or if Lubo, you finish, I'll let Johnny come in.
I think I think the fans are just fed up at the high ticket prices. We're not getting what we're paying for as well. You know, there's been a cost of living crisis for the last few years, and fans are fed up. And you're seeing it with the drop off in attendances now. Brentford and Fulham, they're not sold out. You know, you can't even put tickets on the ticket exchange because they're not sold out. The club have got thousands left.
I think it's not just this club, though. Just for argument's sake, I think in this world we live in now,
the economy sucks, right?
We have absolutely no patience. We want instant gratification, and quite honestly, it's not the real world. I mean, look, I think as far as Thomas Frank, there were people that didn't want to get aboard the Frank train before it left the station. There were people who wanted to get off at the first station that they came to. And there are those who are willing to stay on the train unless, you know, it starts breaking down. Now, I'm still on the train, but there's faults with the train, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say...
They're leaving on the track, Johnny.
Well, there's on the track, yeah. Listen, I'm not blind, okay? I might be a Frank supporter, but I'm not blind. I came on here pissed off at the Arsenal game. I came on pissed off after Chelsea and against Bournemouth because I wasn't happy with it, right? And I'm not going to make excuses for it because there aren't. But I do think, knowing Thomas Frank, I do believe he has the confidence because he was confident enough to take the job, right? Knowing full well what he came in for. Just after tinkering, actually, Connor sent me this message. I'll put it out there. He says, over tinkering, ? We played 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 17 times this season. He has rotated the attack too much, granted, which is a fair challenge, is it not? Because, as you said, Sean, I think we've established what our best defence is. I think we've more or less established that Paulinho is more or less going to start every game. The question mark has been, who do we play up front? How do we play up front? I think that is the main question mark that's being asked by most of us. And what we don't know is, why did Kudus not start? Why has Xavi Simons
let's talk about that. Yeah, it's a nice little transition. Go on. Yeah.
Why has he not started them? We're not privy to training, attitude. There are many things that constitute qualifying to start in a football game. And would I have expected Xavi Simons to be starting against his old club where the point to prove, bearing in mind, they let him go to Holland, PSG.
Good point.
He played well.
Yeah.
He came back and he failed again, right? And went to, thought he was going to RB Leipzig on loan. They never wanted him back. So maybe he had a point to prove tonight, like Kolo Muani, who said he didn't have a point to prove. He thought it was fair cop, with the manager. But there's reasons we don't know what they are. So for us and for the fan base, quite rightly, to ask the question, Estelle said, we spent 55 million on Xavi Simons, 55 million pounds on Kudus, and neither of them are starting. What is that about? But
I guess Fulham will answer that question, right? If both of them start against Fulham and we go back to a more traditional 4-2-3-1 or whatever,
yeah,
that will probably go, okay, it was just a tactical thing. But I think Ricky made the point earlier. He barely played in the last. He hasn't started a game for a while, has he? And when he does, he always gets hooked. He always gets stinker and hooked. Which I've been making the argument, Johnny, that I feel like sometimes the fact that there's clearly tactical, especially at home, handcuffs on the double pivot, not to get forward and support. He's looking up around him against Manchester United and seeing Brennan Johnson on the right wing, marked out by Dorgu. Richarlison on the left wing, marked by Mazraoui, and Muani starting up top, marked by three men, one of them Harry Maguire, who's a monster in the kind of duel, and Xavi Simons is looking around, screaming for support, and yet Sarr and Paulinho weren't given permission to get forward, and I think he's the victim sometimes. Sometimes I think you can make the argument he hasn't played well, but sometimes you can make the argument that he is the fall guy for a tactic that is very defensive, and again to Ricky's point, more fearful of the opposition than of what you can do to the opposition, Johnny.
You bought him. Look, I've mentioned this to you before, Sean, right, about his body language. And I've talked about this at Leeds, at Everton. I've mentioned it to Ricky. I don't like his body language, right? Okay, own your shit, right? When it's not going well or you've done a stray pass, don't stand there going like this. You know, when you've made the bad pass, correct it, chase it down. And he did a lot of that. And I saw against Arsenal, he came on, and I mentioned this to you, Richie's chasing the ball, and he's trotting, and Richie's turned round and he's had a go at him. And he didn't like it. But hang on, mate, you've got to own it. You know,
are you suggesting that you don't think he's happy in Tottenham?
No, I just think he's not happy. Look, he said himself, right? He said himself, this is the most difficult point in my whole career because I'm not playing well, right?
Standard Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, come to Tottenham.
Standard.
Like, but listen, look, it happens at Man United. You know,
Yeah. For sure.
Man United and become a footballer. There is something that's not quite right. And with Kudos, I'll be honest with you, I like him, but he hasn't uprooted trees, right? His final delivery, you know, he's overplaying of the ball, his greed sometimes. Okay, maybe Thomas Frank has said, look, you've got to cut that out. I want you to do this, this, and this. And he's not doing it. We don't know. I'm surmising here. Might be total crap, but there is a reason why none of those two came on until the 80th minute.
Yeah, fair enough. Stel, I'll come to you, mate. It's a nice sort of segue because I've got some questions here about what's going on with Xavi. Also, I would like one of you guys when I come round, and we're going to come round the houses again here. On this topic, but there's not just him and getting minutes amongst the current options, but Decky's not far from being available. And I'd like you to kind of slide into your answer here, Stel, with regards to Xavi and Kudos. Like when Decky's fit, where do you see him slotting in? How into this tinkering model that we don't know what we're going to be playing 1 week from the next?
Can I quickly answer about the fans being angry because of the last 5-6 years? And
sure. Yeah, no worries. But try and make it quick, and then we'll move on to the
be quick. I personally think that the fans have got every right to be angry, not because of the last 4 or 5 years, but because of what they're seeing right now. I have been one of the original Levy out, Enoch out. This ownership is the problem. One of the OGs at the protest, and there was 10 of us. So I don't need to come on in and tell you what I think of that lot, but what I'm seeing this season isn't just because of Levy and Enoch. And I think the reason fans are angry is because you look at Sunderland. They haven't got a better squad than Spurs. They don't spend more money than Spurs. But you know they will throw their bodies on the line for the cause. You know those 2 shots from distance, those brilliant goals PSG scored, Sunderland's bodies would have been thrown at that. They would have died for the cause. We don't see that. And then you look at a club like Crystal Palace, who are 3 points off of being second place. They lost Elise, they lost Eze, they've lost top talent, and they still punch, and they're in Europe. They play European football, and they won an FA Cup, something we haven't done in 30 years. So you look at those clubs and you say, is that because of Levy and Enoch, that those lesser clubs with lesser resources are pushing harder right now? So I think fans have got a right to be angry or frustrated with what they're seeing from the team and the manager and the coach. And I'm the biggest Levy Enoch outer, right? You know that. So that's my answer to that. Regarding the current players, Kudos, Simmons, Decky, if Xavi Simons continues to underwhelm, absolutely, Kulu has to go in. Either try him as a 10, or if we play what I think is the best thing, a back 3 with attacking fullbacks, with 2 attacking mids, I'll play Kulu as one of the attacking mids. I don't like Kulu as a winger, because I don't think he's a winger. Just like I don't think Brendan Johnson's a winger. There's certain players I don't think should be on the wings, and he's one of them.
Yeah, I agree. So on that basis, if he's going to stick to, let's assume that there's some level of consistency at home with the 4-2-3-1. Does Decky come into the 10, and does that mean that Xavi's time gets even more difficult to get minutes?
I don't think we've got the squad of players to play certain systems. It depends what system we play. In a 4-2-3-1, you're asking Decky to effectively play as the sole number 10. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't like Decky as a sole number 10. If he's playing with 2, then I'm more up for it because there's more flexibility to drop into the 8, drift out wide,
Then
go into the
4-2-2-2 that we did last night would work, right?
A 4-2-2-2 would be much, much better for Kulusevski. Absolutely. And any questions about Kudus and Simmons, and I'm going to say the same thing that fans said for every other manager before. The manager signed these players. They're his players. And it's the coach's job to coach the player. So either they're not being coached right, or the manager isn't very good at transfers, or we just need to give it a bit more time. You know, like we've seen many players at Spurs, they're not good at the beginning and they become brilliant in future years. Maybe Simmons is one of those. Kudus is definitely a good player, but like you've said many, many weeks, Sean, he just needs to be told, buddy, you don't have to keep the ball for 20 seconds. Just release it a bit earlier and your whole game becomes amazing. So I think we just got to be a little bit patient with those two because I've seen enough from Kudus to know he's a really good player. I don't think certain systems work for Xavi Simons, guys. I told you. I said that he's in big trouble against Chelsea because he's up against Caicedo, who's going to eat him alive. He's one of the best number 6s in world football. And I said against Arsenal, if he's on his own as the 10, he's in trouble against Declan Rice and Zubimendi because he's not ready for that yet. He's physically not ready for it. So with Xavi Simons, we've got to play him in the right way to develop him into a Premier League player. But I do believe in those two players. I do think they're good players. I haven't written those two off. Others I have written off, but those two I haven't.
Well, you wrote off Mawani. You know?
No. Listen, sure, I'll tell you what. No. Fair play to you. Listen, if Mawani goes and scores against Fulham, scores against Brentford, or at least scores in every other 1 in 2 games, something like that, I will gladly, because I can do it, I will hold up my hands and say, guys, what I said about Mawani being crap in front of goal, I'm a muppet. And Sean called it out 4 weeks ago.
Joking, man. It's just a joke. You know it's banter.
Sean, if he does do that, I've been proven categorically wrong. I will be proven wrong if he does it. I hope he does, because we need a striker. We desperately need one. So good for him.
You're always a good sport. When I pull these sorts of screenshots and tactics on other people, they get the right ump. You at least sort of you wear.
So I don't have a choice, do I? You're going to do it anyway. I don't have a choice.
That's what the host does. What the host can. Lubo, same sort of question, mate. I guess I'm just. Look, it's not a problem at Arsenal, right? You don't really see Arsenal fans concerned about how many minutes Eze is going to get versus Odegaard. Like they rotate and they step up and all those sorts of things. So is the imminent returning of Decky, like, it's a good thing for the fans, but I guess that the extension is like Xavi's already underperforming. Was it a mistake purchase? Is he just, was he overhyped or was he just not up to the speed of the Premier League yet? That kind of, especially if we're playing around with different systems, with different 10s and different models, then, if I'm looking at Xavi right now, I'm thinking, if I don't play against Fulham, I'm questioning why I came to Tottenham.
He is the only fit standard number 10, orthodox number 10 that we've got at the club. Obviously Madison's there, but he's injured. So this is another situation where Frank is playing around with systems. The 10 you normally think is the creative spark, which thankfully, we saw a lot more of yesterday. I thought we were much, and that was a real plus to take out of yesterday. Kulu, I've no idea what his best position is. He had a great start to last year. First 2 or 3 months last season, I thought he was excellent. Ange ended up playing him week after week after week and didn't rotate him and ended up burning the guy out in the end. And, he ended up badly injured against Palace. Again, it was one of those, funny enough, where we were looking at the team selection, you wondered why he actually played him against Palace, because Cooley would have been a key player in Bilbao. But he played him for whatever reason. It was pretty pointless, and he ended up with that really bad knee injury. I don't know where Kulu goes. I'm waiting to see what system Frank settles on. I think he's got a lot of hard work. I think he's got an unbalanced squad. I think he's got a few very good players, and then he's got some good kids, and in between He's got a host of players that are established, but not at the level that we need to compete at. And I think it's going to take him. And this thing, I don't know where Kulu lands, to be honest. I think it's going to take Frank 3 or 4 transfer windows to get his team together. And I think we've got to, as a club, we've got to look at giving a manager time now, because I'm sick of the revolving door for managers that we've seen under Enoch. I think we saw something like 7 or 8 managers, 7, 8 managers maybe in the club's history, something very small. And we've had 16 in 20 or 18 in 25 years since the turn of the century. So for me, I just want stability. I want a manager to be given a chance to bring his players in, to settle on his system. I think it will take Frank time. We're not bringing in a Conte or a Mourinho or an Ancelotti or a Pep or a Klopp. We're bringing in someone who's stepping up, not someone who's been there, done it, knows how to play it when he comes into a club. I think this is a real step up for Frank. I really hope he makes it. Will he make it? Will he be a success? I want him to be. I don't know. Time will tell. But we've got to start. We've got to go through the pain as fans. If fans can't see the damage that Enoch have done over 25 years, then they're walking about. They're either been God knows where, not following football, or they're walking around with blinkers, because we have been hampered by this transfer policy.
Not getting down any path, mate, because you know it will trigger me, and I'll come back with facts and stats, and I'll ruin you. Not doing it tonight, Lubo. Not doing it tonight. Let me.
Lubo, don't we have to go through the pain with the right manager, though? The right manager is the one to go through the pain with, because otherwise the pain intensifies. If we go through with the manager who's the wrong manager, the pain becomes even worse.
Okay, what becomes the wrong manager and what becomes the right manager? We brought
what we're seeing right now is wrong.
Still, we brought in
let Ricky answer, because he hasn't spoken. Go on, Ricky.
I just want to answer you on that. Conte and Mourinho won at every single club they were at. They were the right managers. What happened?
Well, we sacked them, so we don't know. We don't know
exactly. We sacked them exactly.
But
so
they were proven. Do you know what, Ricky? You speak, Ricky.
I just think, guys, in terms of what the right managers for Tottenham, and again, I don't want to ever try and speak for everyone. That's not why I'm here. That's not what I'd ever want to do. But I think there's just some basic fundamentals of what makes a Spurs manager, and why Pochettino, for a lot of fans, endeared to him was because, number one, he understood the philosophy in terms of when Spurs were at home was to be on the front foot, imprint a philosophy on a side where you were playing front foot, attacking football. There was fight, desire. And I'm not saying we played like that every single week under Pochettino, but that was the mantra of how we tried to play. And then also away from home, we wasn't completely and utterly open at the back. We were fairly defensive, I would say, on the crux of having Vertonghen and Alderweireld there, and of course having Rose, and of course at the time Kyle Walker, where there was a stability about Tottenham defensively. And in all honesty, I think we are currently chasing in the last 4, 5, 6 years, and we've gone down wrong paths, don't get me wrong, of a manager that can somehow go back to what Pochettino was about for Tottenham, having a manager that would, when we're at home, have us on the front foot, but away from home, still be solid enough to try and still play the Tottenham way. I know people think it's a myth, the Tottenham way, and I think it is. I think fans, as well as they know Tottenham, from the outside but looking in, Tottenham fans know we've got a certain way we want to play. And the reality is that, let's be honest about it, Mourinho, Conte, we all were drawn into the fact that we needed to win a trophy. So I think we did look at those managers and think they were worth giving some time. But the reality is they weren't the right Tottenham managers. And with all due respect to Ange Postecoglou, I think Ange, the way he spoke about Tottenham was how I wanted Tottenham to play, but he just could not deliver that in that 18-month period that we saw.
A little bit too much, wasn't it, Ricky? It was a little bit too gung-ho, a little bit too wild.
The thing with Thomas Frank is I like Thomas Frank. I think Thomas Frank is a really nice guy. I think there's a real appealing nature to him. My worry is that when I hear Thomas Frank talk at times, it's what I go back to what I said earlier. My worry is I'm not quite sure this guy's got it in terms of the way he talks about Tottenham. And the thing about Pochettino is that when he used to open his mouth, the only thing I would disagree with around the fact is when he said around the fact of egos fulfill trophies. Tottenham at that point, for me, with the squad they had under Poch, needed to win a trophy. I think for Frank, it's so important for him now. He gets that balance right, not just in terms of the performance, especially at home, but he understands the pulse of Spurs fans when he talks to the media. I think it goes back to what Stel said earlier. There's a lot of concern, I think, in the way, in what he says to the media about how he portrays Tottenham. Lubo's right. We're not an elite football club. We haven't, won across the European globe over many, many years consistently, but we are still a club that is respectable, I think, definitely in the Premier League, definitely in Europe. And those are why I think there's reservations under Frank. Just to quickly answer the Xavi Simons question really quickly, Shawnee.
Yeah, of course.
We have to remember, Xavi Simons is not Tottenham's first choice. We have to remember this. Tottenham, they went for Gibbs White, and Johnny's right on this. They went for Gibbs White, didn't get Gibbs White. Went for Eberechi Eze, didn't get Eberechi Eze. We've spoken off air, me and Johnny, about how far down the pecking order Xavi Simons was. Was he Tottenham's third choice, fourth choice, fifth choice? So there's that element to it. And I think Xavi Simons right now, if I'm him, I would be pretty pissed off. I'm just thinking from him as a player. He's not played against Chelsea, not played against Arsenal, not played away to Paris Saint-Germain. 3 big fixtures in the Tottenham's calendar, with all due respect, and especially playing in the Champions League. That's what you'd imagine he's come to join Tottenham for. So I'd imagine Xavi Simons right now is thinking, what have I joined this club for? But that's not to say that he shouldn't be trying in terms of effort and commitment and desire. And Johnny and a lot of you guys go, especially Lubo, both of you go home and away week upon week. So you can see the body language. So there's no need to give, body language of a negative nature. But at the same time, he needs to do more. I think Kudus as well, in the early weeks of him joining the football club, there was this sole focus on the fact, because of our lack of real quality in attack, give Kudus the ball and he's going to create for us. And the problem is, for the last 7-8 weeks, I think, probably since the Leeds game where he got the winner, Kudus has looked nowhere near the player. Now, he may be playing with a niggle. And again, we're not privy to anything that goes on behind the scenes. But he's not been the same player that he was in those first few weeks of the season. But also, the reliance shouldn't all be on him. And that's when it goes back to the point of the squad, that the squad is nowhere near good enough in reality to compete in all 4 cups. It just really isn't. It's not. And that's where I think Thomas Frank is going to once again have to make a decision later in the season if we get there. Because now we're in a situation where, let's be honest about it, we're not going to win the Champions League. We're not going to win the Premier League. The FA Cup, I think, is really, really still important.
So negative, Ricky. You're so negative. It's so negative.
But I think the FA Cup is so important to a lot of Tottenham fans. And if we go out of that in the early stages to a team, with all due respect, that aren't a Man City, that aren't a Liverpool, although Liverpool's form right now is indifferent, a Chelsea and Arsenal, or a Man United, fans are going to ask questions because this is what the thing, Enoch said this, not the fans. Enoch said the appointment of Thomas Frank was to build on the success of the Europa League. So they've got all fans thinking that we are going to be hopefully competing for more trophies. We're not expecting this season to have to tumble down, with all due respect, to 12th, 13th, 14th and go through another rebuild. It's not been about that. The whole reason was bringing Thomas Frank in was to try, and I think, elevate us in terms of the Premier League and try and put us on a sound footing. But it is going to take time. But like I said, Xavi definitely wasn't the first choice. I don't want it to be a painful rebuild. And I think Stel's right. If you're going to go through the pain for someone, it's got to be for the right manager. And I do appreciate and understand why right now there are fans out there that are still questioning whether Frank's the right man. That's not making you negative if you feel like that. That's based on what you've seen so far over the last 17, 18, 19 games. I think everybody's got a right to feel like that.
Yeah, 100%. Johnny, do you mind, John? Can I come to you to finish this in just a second? I've completely neglected the super chats, the entire show. Let me quickly let me get these super stats done, and then we can carry on the conversation. We've got 14 minutes left to also squeeze in the Fulham team predictors or whatever. Big up to you, Dino Houdini. Choo to you, my man. As always, this man is always everywhere, supporting everybody. We give him the choo chain. The super sticker train has commenced. Houdini, thank you so much, my man. Very, very appreciative to you. Same for Destiny My man, Destiny, moderator-in-chief. Chew to you as well. Thank you so much for the support, guys. It really does help. We've got a Newcastle United fan. Gets around. Lovely fella. Sniffer. Big up to you, Sniffer. Questionable name, but lovely guy from what I know. And congratulations on your recent victories over Manchester City at home. Newcastle are a funny team, aren't they? They're almost the inverse of Tottenham. Yeah, good away form, and they're terrible away. You know,
better as Ricky said, better to win at home and lose away.
Yeah, build the foundation. Yeah, keep the fans on side. Although a week or two ago, a lot of I'm not sure if Sniffer was on this page, but a lot of Newcastle fans were on the page of Eddie Howe out, which was wild to me. Appreciate you, Sniffer. Thank you very much, mate. He said the next one is from Hojack Borsman. He says Thomas Frank moves like he's still at Brentford. Doesn't realise he's on borrowed time. BDW Richie looks terrible. I'm not sure what BDW means. Looks. Can anyone else?
By the way.
Oh, by the way. Yeah. By the way.
Give me street talk. By the way.
By the way. Okay.
Dad, he's got
by the way.
Well.
I hope. Let me know what that actually means, Jack Borsman. Let me educate us. Richie looks terrible, but he'll grab that 20 GA this season. Come on, you Spurs. Certainly in a purple patch. He's certainly, at least with his output. His input is always questionable in my mind.
Fifth top scorer in the league. Fifth top scorer.
You should hope that Richie scores 20 GA. We should hope that Brendan Johnson does 20 GA. But regardless whether you like someone, hate someone, or whatever your motive is, you should hope that every single player turns in a great season.
Tell you what, though, I'm going to come to that in just a second. It's an interesting question. The fact that he scored in the last 2 or 3 games, and the fact that Mwani then goes and puts in a double goal and assist bomber last night. If we do go back to a single striker model on Saturday night, who Thomas Frank will pick be very interesting. And I think one of them will be very frustrated with the decision. Tony Rodriguez, member for 9 months. We haven't been going that long, Tony. You're a legacy member from Henry Wright's time. We appreciate you very much. He says, Vicario, Udogi, Van der Ven, Danso, Porro, Bentancur, Polinia, Xavi, Kudus, Colomwani, and Richarlison. Is that your team for Saturday? I guess that's your team for Saturday. Okay, we'll pivot from that in just a second. And Destiny's come back in with another super sticker. Big up to you, my man. And apologies to all of you for leaving that so long. I was so caught up in the debate here that I forgot to get those out earlier. I appreciate you all. Appreciate all of you that have been watching. There's been over 800, nearly 900 people here the whole night. Please do smash the like button on the video. Please do hit the subscribe, and I will once again post the links for Last Word on Spurs. I'm sure you are all subscribed to that wonderful channel, but please, if you haven't, then please do get over to the Spurs Corner, Stell's new bad boy, and Football Inc. and Spurs Talk Show, and of course I will also plug Lubo's Twitter handle as well, just to make sure that Lubo's not left out. Johnny, I think you wanted to say a couple of things there about the last conversation.
I think I've lost that now. I think. Okay,
well, I apologise, mate. Sorry about that. I'll let you go in first, then, mate. On the Fulham thing, we've got 12 minutes to talk about Fulham. We've sort of covered it in terms of the principal need to play football. How do you see us setting up on Saturday night?
First of all, we don't have a good record against Fulham. Don't like to say it. I think we've 1 win in the last 6, I think it is, or 5. Not the greatest record with Ange or with whoever's been there, to be honest. Look, it's a must win or a must do well. They did well against Fulham on the weekend. Against Sunderland, beating them 1-0. It ain't going to be an easy game. No Romero, obviously, already got 5 yellow cards, so therefore he's missing. I know that Lubo will be hoping that Archie Gray comes in instead of Danso, but I got a feeling.
Instead of Bentancur.
Instead of Bentancur, yeah, sorry, yeah, but well, we shall see. It'll be Danso. I'd be amazed if it's not Danso and what's them. I'm just like to say that no one seems to have made any comments about Jed Spence and how he managed to pocket yet again Kvaratskhelia, who had to go onto the other flank in that first half. Anyway,
He did well, but that's a stretch. I wouldn't say he pocketed Carava at all.
Well, he had to go onto the other side. So what does that tell you?
Well,
what does that tell you? He didn't get any change, did he? What did he do in the first half, Luke?
He was always dangerous when
What
he
did
was
he do in the first half?
Always dangerous when he was on.
Always Johnny, innit? It's always Johnny.
What did he do in the first half?
Well, I saw it.
He's throwing it around. Let's
have to agree to disagree, mate.
Let's not say he didn't switch. He didn't switch Kovac was on the left and the right throughout all different periods of the game. That guy, I mean, that front three was so fluid. It was like water at times.
Yeah. Well, anyway, blame Glenn Hoddle. He was mentioning it. Anyway, I would have started Spence on the left personally, and Porro. But
this is the third for Fulham. You want to start Spence again?
Well, yeah. For me, I would go 2 up front again. I would do exactly the same. Stell said keep consistency. So why not do that? And
so on that basis, do you find any room in that 4-man midfield for Xavi Simons?
No.
Okay. And if Thomas Frank agrees with you, Johnny, then I share your concern that there's something going on there. 100%.
Listen, look. What I would say is, maybe Archie Gray will be the fall guy. Bergvall played well. He's probably got good legs and probably is ahead at this stage of Archie Gray. Papa Sarr is on his way to Africa, so maybe he should be playing games because he's going to be missing for a few weeks. But listen, I think he should try and find a place for Xavi Simons and let him see whether or not he can do it.
Any space for Paulinho? Or not needed?
Well, maybe Paulinho will be swapped for Bentancur. We shall see.
Okay. So you're going for a 4-2-2-2, something similar.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, you're saying keep Spence, keep Porro, same back four apart from so same back five. And
not Romero, obviously.
Oh, not Romero. So Danso's in. Yeah. Okay.
Sure. I need predictions, by the way. I need predictions.
Yeah, I'll let Johnny just finish up, and then I'll come and I'll get his prediction as well. And then in the midfield, you're saying no Xavi. You're saying keep Mawani and Richarlison, and then the 4 you'd pick in the midfield then is Paulinho, Sarr, Bergvall, and one other. Who would be the other person?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you'd have to go Xavi and see how he gets on, and hopefully. Listen, I'd like to see Xavi Simons, to be honest with you, linking up because I think Xavi Simons and Kolo Muani are of technical ability that they should have an understanding to be able to link together. Because
still no space for Odegaard, still no space for Kudus. Interesting.
Listen, it's a squad-based game, and we should have those players on the bench to turn the game or to bring the game on, during the game in the second half. I think it's an asset. I mean, what are we going to do when Kulu comes back or some of the others?
I asked that question during your absence, mate.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Welcome back, by the way. What's your score prediction, Johnny?
I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs and our 5th home win since 3rd of November 2024. To go with Burnley, Southampton, a shit Man United and Aston Villa. I've gone 2-1 as I'm so shit at predictions. You can bet your bottom dollar we'll probably lose.
If we do, it'll be madness. Ricky, a prediction and score line. Oh, it's not prediction, sorry. A prediction and your team selection and how you see the game going.
Well, I wouldn't want to change too much that we did see in Paris, apart from somebody being a bit more solid at the back. But like Johnny said, we've obviously got no Romero, so you imagine Danzo will come in. I'd be in favour of keeping a similar midfield, I'll be honest with you. Maybe I would potentially look to bring Xavi in, but again, there is that question mark as to whether maybe it's better to introduce him late into the game, which could be an option.
Yeah.
But I think given the way we finished against Paris and the feeling around the midfield, I wouldn't be too against keeping the same kind of 11, but I'll be honest with you, it's such a big game for Frank. We had that press conference earlier today and he was saying that for him, if we have a decent performance, then we should win the game. Our record, like Johnny said, against Fulham isn't great, but I mean, our record against a lot of teams in the last 18 months is not great either. We've got to be honest about that. So I see it being a really nervy encounter. And I honestly think the first goal is so crucial in this game. Because I'll be honest, if Spurs go 1-0 behind, I'm really concerned, whether we've got the ability to, with the crowd, all due respect, I mean this at home, to find a way to score 2 there. That's my worry at the moment, I'll be honest. So I'm going to say hopefully a 2-1 Spurs win, but I'll be honest, I don't think it's going to be pretty. And I think even if we win 2-1, I think we're still in that situation where a lot of fans are still on the fence about the manner of the 2-1 win. But we need to see a performance. We need to see these players, especially at home, give us some confidence that they're 100% behind what they're being asked to do. I agree with what Stel said earlier. Don't need too much tinkering for this one. Try and keep the base of that team. Obviously, we know that they've got to have one enforced change there with Romero. But the midfield's played well. Why change it? Give them an opportunity. Need to win the game.
Great.
Got to say, Stel, in the 4 years I've known you, I've never heard any one person ever say I agree with what Stel said earlier more times in one evening than what Ricky has tonight. He's absolutely sensational stuff.
He's not paid me, by the way. He's not paid me.
Doesn't it just go to show what happens when we bring on intelligent guests? How great it is to have some intelligent people on the show. It's a breath of fresh air.
Sensational. The changing of the relationships in the Spurs team. You got Billy T and Butler knew the change for Tottenham to March. You got Stella and Rick. It's fantastic. Great to see. Luba, I'll come to you, mate. Prediction, team, ideal team pick. What you say?
Ideal team pick. Spencer right back. I think he should be given the run there because I think he will bring more. Personally, I think he'll bring more at right back. He's a natural right footer. He's got pace. I'd play him at right back with a doggy. You have Dan Stone, Mickey. Midfield, got to have my guy Archie with Polinia. Sorry, I don't think Benson Court brings anything to the party. I'd bring Simmons in and Bergvall. I'd keep the diamonds with Gray on the right, Simmons on the left with Gray on the right, Simmons in the 10, Bergvall on the left, Polini dropping at the base of the diamond, keep the front two. I think we'll carry on. I'm really quite heartened. Listen, I hate losing, never want to see Spurs lose. Last night was really encouraging. Didn't expect to win. I think we threw it away. I think we could have come away with a draw, which makes me feel that, I'm quite upbeat, and I think we will comfortably dispatch Fulham 3-0, 3-1. If you got to go with, I'll go 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that noted down, mate?
Yeah, 3-1.
As the song goes, we're on our way.
Yeah, I'll be super quick on this one, Stel, just for your notes, because I am top of the Predictors League, and I will remain there.
Just a point.
A point is all you need, mate. A point is all you need.
Hanging on.
A point is all you need. And listen, this guy is going to back his team. I'm going to say 3-0 Tottenham. And I think that Tottenham are going to use the launch pad that was a relatively good performance against PSG. I don't know how we're going to go about it. I think he's got every reason and every right to reward a lot of the players that played or the system if he thinks that they're fresh. However, I think that he'd also recognise that he's got Newcastle United away on Wednesday. And on that basis, he might look to do something similar at Newcastle that he did at PSG. And so I think you will see Xavi come in. I think you will see Kudus come in back into the team. I think you might even see Odegaard come back in. And so I think that not necessarily because they deserve to be dropped, but I think that you'll see some level of rotation again, which shouldn't be seen for me as a bad thing. I think it's fine because we have Newcastle away on Tuesday evening. Right, so it's a quick turnaround again, and it's a really tough encounter up there where I'd like to see us go back to that sort of 4-2-2-2 or 4-1-2-1-2. So I'm going to say 3-0. I think Tottenham are going to repay the fans. I think that there's the fans are were happy with what they saw on the last night to a degree, but they have to see it at home as well. I think the players are aware of that. So I'm going to go 3-0, and then that's my take. And I'm going to sit right at the very top of the tree as I have done since game week 1. Still over to you, mate, for the last take. Listen, don't worry about finishing bang on 2 hours. Those short things are silly, but we'll round off after this.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but if we don't start Richarlison, Moani, and Archie Gray, I think I'm going to lose it. I have crucified those 3 players, but I'm a believer in healthy competition.
Can you say that sentence just one more time, mate? Just so
You only get one chance to clip it. You only get one chance to clip it. Oh, my God.
Can I ask, is it a red chair or an orange chair? Because it looks very red from here.
Yeah. You know the rules.
Can we talk about Lubo's red jumper?
Well,
it's burgundy.
It's more burgundy.
It's maroon. It's maroon.
Is that red or orange? I just need clarity.
That's the Arsenal away kit he's wearing. It's orange. It's orange. I'm a firm believer in healthy competition, and I think when players are in form or have had a good game, you've got to reward it. You've got to send a message to the squad. You've played well. You start. Try and do it again. I thought Archie Gray was really good against PSG. I thought Moani, whatever I've said about him, he bagged 2 goals. You can't then drop him. We've done that in the past to players where they play well, they score goals, we drop them. And as much as I can't stand Richarlison, he's the 5th top goal scorer in the league. He's got 2 in 2, and he's out of the top 10. 3 out of the top 10 strikers in the Premier League right now. He's 2nd for assists as well. You have to start them. Where else do the goals come from? So if we don't start those 3, I'll be really, really disappointed. In terms of the score, Fulham haven't won a game from home. They've lost every game away from home, but they got a draw against Brighton. Spurs are terrible at home, and we are notoriously bad after a European night. I think it's going to be 1-1. I'm going for a score draw.
Interesting.
There we go. That's still just very, very interesting. You talking about Archie Gray. That has been derision.
I knew it. That's why I didn't want to say it.
Still, I've got to say.
Look at the smile on his face. It's like I gave him a Christmas present.
Still, I gave Lubo 4 different opportunities to bring Archie Gray into his answers all night. He didn't take it once, and
I just thought it right at the end. We're wrapping up, and what better way to say
He was good, though. He was good, lad.
Injury time Archie Gray point. Let's go.
I have taken Pelters because I think Gray will be a baller for Spurs. No, it's not one game. He came on here. Got us back in the game at Bodo. He is the only 18-year-old I can remember that's played across the back 4 in any Premier League team, filling in and doing it very adequately. Not great, not fantastic, but coming in as a young kid. There aren't many teenagers that are playing regular football in Premier League clubs. And he will just explode. I'm telling you, he is going to be a baller.
Lubo, I'm waiting for the day that I can get.
Listen, it's small.
I hope you're right, Lubo. I hope you're right.
He's going to be a good player.
It's small building blocks. That's what it is.
The only thing you've not mentioned.
He's got to be given minutes.
The only thing you've not mentioned tonight, right, which I think needed to be mentioned, was because it's been brought up after every bloody game. Spurs got a better XG than PSG.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
All right. He's right.
Listen,
no, we've spoken about...
I am waiting for the day. I am waiting for the day when I can knock up a thumbnail that has in the gold letters Archie Great on it. I'm waiting for that day, Lubo, and I'll put your face front and centre.
Right, look, we both think he's going to be a player. He's going to be a good player, but right now we need players who are ready to, in the pecking order. I don't think Archie is ahead of Lucas Bergvall and Papa Sarr at this moment, but I think he will be coming up.
Well, he's better on the ball. He's better passer than Bergvall is for sure.
Johnny, I just don't rate Papa Sarr. I don't think he's rubbish. I just think he's a very okay midfielder. He's okay.
No, he's like Jed Spence to me. He's very, very useful in certain divisions of his game, but he's pretty weak in others. I think he's a poor passer. I think he can go to sleep at times. But I think he's very, very good in certain divisions and certain departments, which is, again, why I go back to this idea. I think the over-tinkering is more to do with recognizing the profile of who we have and trying to fit them to the model. But again, to finish up, I think Ricky made the salient point earlier that we're when we do a SWOT analysis, we're more focused on the weaknesses and the threats than we are the opportunities and our strengths. And I think that needs to change.
Do you know what it is with our players? I always compare them to a team that I know was brilliant, which is Poch's team. So when I think of midfielders, I think of Dembele, Wanyama, Eriksson. And none of our midfielders come close. Some maybe, and that's why I feel he's got to be average because that's the level we need to be at. So it's hard to say Pape Sarr's a good player.
Also, genuinely think though that the level of footballers has dropped in the Premier League. I think over the last 5-6 years, I don't think there's any 6-7 years ago there were unbelievable talents, and I think there is generally.
Chelsea's midfield's decent. Arsenal's is decent. There's still good midfields out there.
Sure, of course.
Estevao, yeah.
Guys, let's round it off. I want to say massive thank you, Ricky. Listen, first experience, first taste of the blood in the Spurs Five.
Just so he knows, I wasn't kidnapped. I was here of my own choice. I wasn't ransomed here. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a good night off. I've enjoyed it, guys. So thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Loved having you. May you come again. Said the
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
definitely. Take you back 100%.
Stel definitely wants you back, mate, because he's never heard. He's never had his ego in.
I'm on my own every week.
I appreciate you so much, Ricky. Please, guys, please do. Let me just quickly drop this. Please do. I'm sure you all have already, but just in case you haven't, then you can find Ricky on Last Word on Spurs. Stel, when are you next? Sorry, Ricky. Quickly, when are you next? When's your next show on? Last Word on Spurs.
I know it's unfortunately after Fulham. Hopefully, fortunately after Fulham, when we put in a good home performance. So let's see what they're going to give us. Let's see what they're going to give us. Fingers crossed. We're going to hopefully see a win and a convincing win and everything we want it to be. And hopefully the springboard to hopefully us really pushing on in the Premier League because, like you boys know, the fixtures are coming thick and fast. So I do worry Stel's predictions to kind of set up Spurs 5 on Monday because if it is a 1-1, God, the show will be explosive, right?
Yeah. Massively so.
Every only person jumping off the sofa if we lose.
Please also get over to Lubo_61. He's only one without his own specific channel, but this is his channel, so make sure you smash the subscribe and follow him over there.
Sean, can I just assure Machina Joe, I didn't meet Archie Gray's mother about 20 years ago. All right. I've never met any of the Gray family.
You're a proud father. I
just think he's going to be a good father. That's all I wanted to say.
Stel, when's your next Spurs Corner exhibition?
Iggy's always doing a random video, so Iggy's always got something to say. But then it'll be next Wednesday.
There you go, guys. Spurs Corner. If you were a Tottenham away advocate before it got, I don't know what the word is, lost, then Spurs Corner is their new rendition. Taken, shut down, whatever's going on over there, madness. But please get over to Spurs Corner, the new version of it. Johnny, when are me and you getting back together on Football Inc?
We'll be back tomorrow on the channel that never gets mentioned, and we will be discussing latest transfer news, and we'll be doing our predicciones and talking about the weekend's fixtures ahead, and hopefully predicting some good results for all. It's going to listen. I think the Sakio race is hotting up. There could be some interesting departures.
So you can get an Arnie slot.
Arnie slot. Absolutely in trouble.
Madness. What a conversation that is for a different channel, though.
Spurs
Talk Show, you can find me over on Spurs Talk Show, guys. That's the link there. And lastly, shameless plug for myself, if you don't mind. If any of you, the 600 people that are watching, are interested in conspiracies, nothing to do with football, all about the way the world works. If you're interested in that, then you've got a little baby channel called Rabbit Hole Ramblings. You can also subscribe to.
Includes VAR.
VAR as well.
Rabbit Hole, VAR, bungs for refs.
100%. Appreciate you all, guys. Thanks, everybody. Please like, subscribe, get over to everyone's channels, and we'll see you on Monday. Take care. Bye.
Come on.